What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here for just a couple of minutes. Don't you guys love the little cat paw? Some ASMR. Oh yeah, that's Salem. He's just there. This is my top 10 favorite books of the year. There's gonna be some manga in there, and now with the manga, it's gonna be either the whole manga, because some of them are just only like 10 volumes. Anyways. Or it's gonna be like a whole arc. Now I do include manga because I read manga, so this year I would honestly argue this is not a very good reading year in general, and I wasn't too happy about it, if we're gonna be totally honest. I looked through all my good reads and I looked through every single one of these books, and I'm just like, man, I just didn't really like a lot of these books this year. So yeah, it was kind of disappointing, but there was 10 of them that I did like, but it wasn't really hard to choose them because it's just the selection just wasn't really good. So it was kind of disappointing, but oh well. So I read a total of 123 books this year, and I picked 10 of them that I really liked. Now the 123, obviously a lot of them is gonna be manga, so which is pretty sweet. I didn't like narrow down and figure out how many regular books and how many manga I read. I didn't do any of that. I just read it. So we're gonna start with number 10. Number 10 is actually a self-pub book, and it was my first self-pub book of the year to read because I started doing it in the middle of the year, and I don't know why. But it was Dragon Mage. Now I really like Dragon Mage. I think Dragon Mage was just fun. It was interesting because I was like, this is my first time reading a fantasy book with dragons in a while, and the idea of how this worked was actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed the story. It was like 800 pages, but it didn't feel like 800 pages. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you read those really long books, you're just like, oh god, like you feel it. This book, I never felt it. And she did a really cool time skip about halfway through the book where the main character ages up, and it's just really good. The coming of age of the story is really good too. I really enjoyed this book. So number 9 is one I read in October, and it's really gross. It's really disgusting. And the more I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, this book really left an imprint on me. And granted, it wasn't a 5-star read. Now all these books are 5 stars, but they were definitely my favorites. These are the ones I can remember the most. But number 9 was American Psycho, and I'm going to tell you, American Psycho, I don't think everyone should read this book. Like, I'm going to keep it brief, but any chapters that just say girls or girls, anything that says girls on it, I would just avoid it. Just saying, because it's pretty morbid. That's all I gotta say. But this book was fun to read. I enjoyed reading it. It just because I was seeing all this hype about Bateman on TikTok, and everyone's trying to like replicate his like routines. And then I actually read the book. I'm like, I don't think anyone knows the context of this stuff. Just saying, you guys should probably not do that. So number 8 on the list is Vinland Saga Volume 13. So Vinland Saga comes out in these hardcover editions. So I've been buying those, and I bought volume 13. I was so hyped. I was so thrilled. As soon as I bought it, that was the first book I read in 2023 because I love Vinland Saga. Thorfinn's one of my favorite characters of all time, and just in fiction, he's just so well written, and I was excited. Now, was I a little biased why I liked it? Kind of, but the problem is with this, how it ended, it leaves kind of on a cliffhanger of things are about to get real wild, and this is the final arc of Vinland Saga, and there's a little bit of me is just like, oh man, like I'm kind of sad because it's like it's coming to an end, but also it's like it's coming to an end. So that's where I've been saying that with this book. But I really am enjoying Vinland Saga, and I cannot wait until I can finally just be like, it's done, it's over now. Number 7 actually really came out of left field for me, and that was Princess of Mars. I'm not a big fan of fantasy. I feel like Princess of Mars really threw me in the loop. I'm planning on reading the next 4 eventually. Maybe sometime next year I will, because they're all like 150-page books, easy palate cleansers, so I might dip my toes into them as well. But honestly, with Princess of Mars, it was just a really fun read, and it felt like a fun fantasy book where it didn't feel like a high commitment of a book. And like I said, I read it in one sitting, and I just sat back and was like, damn, this was a really good book. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed Princess of Mars, and I didn't expect to enjoy it, but I did. So number 6 on this list is one of my random palate cleanser books I've been reading, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect to like it this much, but that was Echo Burning. It's the 5th book in the Reacher series, which the Reacher series as a whole is just so much fun to read. If you guys just get bored and want to read something that's not fantasy and it's just like a mystery action thriller book, definitely check out the Reacher series. It's so good, and I didn't expect it to be this good, but it is. I liked every element of this whole book, and I'm going to continue reading it. It's like 28 books too, so. But this one was really fun. You got to see Reacher out in Texas, and at first you're kind of like, because I read some of the reviews while I was reading it. Everyone's like, oh, all he does is just learn how to ride a horse. I'm like, that's like 2 chapters, but you kind of have to let him like learn these things because he's like on a ranch and stuff. I don't know. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I did enjoy Echo Burning. It was actually like right off the get-go, I was just instantly sucked in. And that's the thing I like about these Reacher books, is like you get so immersed into them instantly. And it was so much fun to read. The next book it's called Witch Hat Altara. This is it's a 10-volume manga series, and it's like Harry Potter, but instead of, using wands, you actually draw to use magic, and it's just such a cool concept, and the art is phenomenal. Now the 11th volume came out, and I'll be reading that in January, but this is such a cute little series. I recommend everyone. I actually was trying to get my little sister to read it for a while because I told her, I'm like, you should read this. I think you would like it, and it's just adorable. It is. It's so much fun. You get to follow Coco, who wants to become a wizard, and you kind of just learn a lot. I don't want to go deep into it. None of these I'm going deep in because I just want you guys to read them. That's kind of the moral of the story. Number 4 on the list is I Am Legend. Now, I Am Legend is actually really good. It's from Richard Matheson. Obviously I watched the movie. I feel like everyone's seen I Am Legend, but I read Hell House last year, and I really liked Hell House, so I decided, I didn't know he wrote I Am Legend, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to read I Am Legend. I read it, and it's so much different than the movie, but it's so depressing. I really enjoyed this book. I read the book in one sitting. It was like 170 pages, and just how quickly you just really enjoy, like you could just feel the loneliness of this character. Just the way that Richard Matheson writes books is just so groundbreaking, and I really enjoyed the whole aspect of this, and I just couldn't stop. And it was interesting because you got to go through the mind of a man, that he would see like vampires, and he would have these thoughts and urges towards some of the women, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, it does. Especially when you're lonely for that long, it kind of makes sense to me. Number 3 on this list is another spooky book. I didn't realize until I started making this list, but a lot of my spooky books all made this list. Like, I'm surprised. I thought my spooky season for books I was picked to read wasn't going to be that good, but they actually were. Another one is going to be Uzumaki. Now, Uzumaki was so creepy, but yet so good. It was just so compelling to keep reading it. Now, I plan on reading Tomi next October, so I'm excited to get into that. But Uzumaki, the art alone makes it so creepy. Like, everyone talks about the snails. Yeah, the snails are pretty messed up, but my mind just keeps going to those stupid horn things. You would know if you read it. Like, there's like these horns out, like little horn things that go over your body. It's really gross. It makes me uncomfortable, but it's totally good. It's worth it. So the last 2, I tried to compare them. The one I just finished, so I think it's definitely number 2. Number 1 is just still in the back of my mind, and I just cannot get it out of my mind. But number 2 is Lord of Chaos, the 6th book of the Wheel of Time. I'm not going to go into details about it, but this book definitely just elevated my expectations for Wheel of Time. And the problem is I'm going to the slog now, so my expectations are going to just plummet because I've been told the slog is really bad. With Lord of Chaos, though, there's so many things that happen that I just was flabbergasted with how great it was. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe this is actually happening. All these like plot lines are finally like happening, and it was just so good. I couldn't believe how good this book was, and I was so excited to read the next book. I immediately almost picked up the next book, and then I was like, it's the slog. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna take a step back. So, but yeah, Lord of Chaos definitely was one of my favorite books of the year. Now the last one is an arc, and this arc I read this back in the middle of the summer, still sits in the back of my mind of how crazy this is. Honestly, I mean, people can argue whatever, but this arc is one of the greatest arcs in all of anime, like in manga or whatever. It is hands down one of the greatest, and that is the Berserk Eclipse arc. Now the Eclipse arc was so good. Like the the beginning of you learning who Guts is as a child, working his way up until he's like late teens, early 20s. You just see how messed up it is. The ending of the Eclipse arc is just, ooh, and you really are so attached to these characters just because the way that Guts is, like, just the way that the whole story is written. It's so fleshed out, so good, and it's just so dark. And after I finished, I just sat back and I was just like, holy shit, this actually happened. I was so heartbroken when I read it, and I still think about, like, I'm to the point now where I plan on getting a Guts tattoo because I love Guts now. I couldn't believe how insane this story was. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Make sure you guys let me know down below what your favorite books were of the year of 2023. That'd be awesome. I'd like to know. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay hungry, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.